I expect very many people, that's for sure. What's up? What's up? What's up? Testing out new functions and capabilities. We are excited to announce before anybody arrives, we're going to be doing our call in show right now.
All right. Let me go
It's
ahead.
our first failed experiment on the call in show.
Go ahead and get this copy here and send it over to the chat. So as you guys are coming in, make sure you guys check out that chat, and you guys will have the ability, Roger that, the ability to call in.
God, we hope so.
Wham.
Who
All right,
knows?
there we go.
Dun 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 dun
Well,
dun.
I was just thinking about
Should we click on the button yet or not?
man, I was thinking about something we were talking about yesterday that kind of got people amped up, you know?
Right.
The whole idea of setting this team up like a varsity and JV and so on and so forth, you know?
Yep.
Like to me, like when an organization is done properly and you get back to the basics of it, you know, and you talk about all these different um, people that are out there saying, hey, listen, or, you know, organizations saying, hey, listen, the best way to have an organization is by bringing in veterans and teaching the young guys. But I believe for a full, you know, for a very long time, if you really want to have a difference in the program, you go into that program and you start the youngest age you possibly can go, and you teach the program and what you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to hold yourself accountable, and different things like that. That's high school. That's, you know, college. That's whatever. So for me, I've always looked at that as being a successful way through. So, you know, in a way, I'm really excited about what the way the Oklahoma City Thunder have started this whole idea of this is the program. You work your way up to get an opportunity to play on this team. It's nothing's given, nothing's, you know, easy. It's all going to be, you know, grinding and getting it done.
Yeah, man. And that's why we like talking about the Thunder so much. One of the many reasons. And today we're all about trying to work out the kinks to our first call-in show. So anybody who wants to join us, jump on in. Um, Dave put the link in the chat, and we're gonna figure out how to make this fucking work. First time for everything. Well, at least all the good stuff, anyway. And I'm telling you, man, um, we always end up making a lot of mistakes. So we're gonna see what happens.
Mistake
Um,
Central.
yeah, dude. I think it's a little bit later than we normally record. It's Sunday. We never record on Sunday or jump on live Sunday. So
Well, we
who
just wanted to
knows?
make sure that we got everything out of the way. Like there's already some kinks that we ran into, but I'm sure there'll be more. But we want to start allowing this to happen more on a daily basis where we get on a show and it's like, hey, this is a live show, this is a call-in show, and this is just a pod. Because the reality is that having all three options is key to nowadays.
But back to the Thunder, right? What makes us pumped about what you're talking about is a guy like Usman Jang,
Hmm.
like a complete wild card. I see his season. It could go one of many different directions. The best it could go, he could find a way to come in and probably starts out contributing a little bit in the G League and finds a really good groove.
Hmm.
Figures out how to use his body and make quick decisions, and
Sure.
next thing you know, he's averaging 15 minutes a night
Oh yeah.
because he's found his way into the rotation. And once somebody at his age can find a way into the rotation, we talk about like Shea all the time
Hmm.
and his year with the Clippers. Um,
Yep.
he show superstar potential immediately? I mean, some people might argue that the ability to understand your role and play in big moments and not be too and
Yep.
really be a star in your role is a sign that you could end up being a superstar.
Sure.
So it's a very interesting thing to think about with a player like Usman Jang, because if he can find a way to contribute into a playoff run and he shows poise in that moment, then we're really talking about a potential star, even though he maybe didn't do anything other than be an excellent role player at his age.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the key about how to develop players in the system that we currently are watching. Is it's not just about J Dub, the step that J Dub's seen, but I mean, think about this: is that really Shea's first year with the Oklahoma City Thunder was with Chris Paul. We tried to win. He had a great understanding of what Chris and Dennis Schroeder could do for him, right? So I watched that, and then year two to me, like I think he played something like 50 something games. We didn't get a real chance to see what Shea could do because it was all him. Year three, in more ways or less, it was the same thing except for the second half of the season where he just dominated. It was like our first look of what Shea could do, you know?
30 plus points to Shea.
Yeah, and it was like, holy shit. And I'm like, Mark and I were like, okay, maybe this could be something that he could do in the season. And then the more we started watching him in the off season, his workouts, and we're like, dude, this is the change we want to see. So my point is that really year two, full year two in the system, Shea popped out like he did. You know, think about that. Year two in the system for J Dub, I feel like it's gonna be very similar. He's gonna
Mm.
pop out hot like Shea did year two. And then you're gonna look at the rest of the guys, and like you said, Usman Jang is a perfect example. But for me, for Usman Jang is getting a solid spot in the top 8 this year is his key. That's what he has to do. He has to solidify his spot in the top 8. If he can do that, then next year I think is going to be his breakout year. Like not just a little bit, but it will be a massive breakout year. And it'll be before his 21st birthday. It will be a big deal. So for me, it's just the small steps I want to see for Usman Jang, right? I want to see a big step from J Dub this year. I want to see a big step from Dort this year. I want to see a big step from Shea this year. But Usman Jang, I feel like I want to give a little bit more extra space because, like, what his ability that he can do on any given night is something that sometimes you just got to be patient with to give him more time to develop.
Dude, I mean, I love it. I think those are great expectations for the second year players. And you mentioned Shea and Dort, but what do you think about the third year players? These guys that I don't know. How do you feel about Wiggins? How do you feel about JRE, Trey Man, and Josh Giddey? How do you think this group, is ultimately going to be defined?
Well, I think you need to start at the top of that, Josh Giddey. A lot of this draft class is going to be defined by what Josh can bring to this table. Um, to me, Trey Man still needs a spot. I like Trey Man a lot. But Aaron Wiggins and JRE, they're hustle players. They're all, balls to the wall, do whatever it takes. But I also look at them as 45 to 55 games a season, guys. Like you're gonna have your 45 to 55 game seasons. You're gonna have your 25, games per play per season. I look at some of the two-way players as being, someplace between 15 and 25 as well. So, there's going to be like these different caps for different positions. And that's why for somebody like Usman Jang has to get in that top 8, because in that top 8, you're guaranteed to be getting 20 something minutes a game. And that's just the way this organization is going to be running. Is we're going to have a lot of guys getting 20 plus minutes a game and averaging 20 plus minutes a game. So for me, that's if I'm looking at the way this Thunder team is evolving right now, right?
Right.
And understanding the next step that they have to do in order to be successful. Like that next step is executing the defense better, executing the offense better, and letting the players develop that need to develop. I mean, we're not talking about massive steps anymore. We're not talking about steps like we were 2 years ago saying we need 3 players in order to be able to compete again. We've got the players now. We've got the depth we need now. We've got the project players, and we've got the players that are ready to go right now. We've got the wild card ones that we don't know what they're going to do, like Kaysen out there. We don't know what he's going to do. We don't know what he's capable of. Summer League doesn't really highlight that. Same thing with Usman Jang. So to me, it's just about taking the smaller steps that we need to right now in order to execute what we can do. Because in order for us to be a top tier team, in order to be king of the West, we have to have a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense. And that's where that starts.
So, like Poku and overall, just the way that coach is going to end up using these lineups.
Sure.
Does Poku start out in the top 8?
I mean, I think in the beginning, I think there's going to be a lot of guys that are going to get, 15 to 16 minutes a game.
Right. And
Just
so that kind of goes
because
back to
there's,
coach, right?
yeah, getting back to, game shaped isn't easy as it used to be.
And I think with coach, he's gotten a lot of like criticism over time
Sure.
because his choices to focus on development even in competitive games.
Exactly.
And I think that's really a big key to how we're going to see this development go. Like, I think the game plan, the idea will be to play regularly, probably 14 guys.
Sure.
I think some guys, some games that they'll only go 12 deep, 10 deep, but those decisions will be made most of the time in advance. So people will be pretty comfortable within their role. But some games we're going to go 14 deep pretty regularly, trying to find different guys who are contributing, like you said, 12, 15 minutes. And if they do well, push them up to 20, 25 minutes. Um, is there anybody else that like really orchestrates things like this as far as you've seen in the NBA right now?
Um, I think there's teams that are starting to try to do it. I think there's teams that are like, hey, listen, if we can pull this off right here and we can do this, then we'll be all right. Teams like Detroit, Orlando, low hanging fruit like that are starting to recognize that there needs to be more of what Oklahoma City's doing. And I think that's a lot of the teams that we're talking about too. They have GMs and assistant GMs that spent time in Oklahoma City, in major parts of Oklahoma City. So again, this is not something that's brand new that we're like, oh, look at guys, this is what we're seeing. This is something that the whole NBA is seeing. Like this is something that when you start getting, your GMs, assistant GMs, and some of your photography, but video people, they start getting poached. I mean, you start seeing it. You're like, dang, dude, we just lost five really big people right there. And it's like, okay, well, that's normal though. Like when an organization's clicking, everybody wants a piece of it. And that's the thing is like to me is the most like um I don't know, the biggest compliment you can get is when teams start coming to your organization asking if they can talk to your coaches, can talk to your, you know, GMs and all that other stuff. So it's exciting, man.
Yeah, dude, definitely exciting. Putting it all together, kind of having a big picture of it, but also understanding that we're not going to like, I don't know. I don't want to get too down on Scotty Brooks, but I always felt like other than developing the stars, like the back of the bench just never really got developed. He really liked to get into his substitution pattern,
Yeah,
and if you weren't in it, like you weren't in it.
that's
And I
it.
feel like this is a different time period. And I think that goes back to Coach Degnald's time at the G League and really his belief in development and um, just giving players opportunities.
Not just players, but like coaches as well. Like I love the fact that we rotate who the G League head coaches and assistant coaches are. I like the fact that we rotate who's the coach from the summer leagues. Like this is just all around a very well organized way of letting the players understand who the coach's personalities are, because who a coach is as an assistant and who a coach is as a head coach are two different things, completely different things. So allowing your players to see what type of the players and coaches that are there for you, I love it, man. We saw two different coaches on summer league this year. Again, we'll see that type of stuff in the future for sure.
And we saw a couple of different coaches last year when I think Coach Degnald went out for a couple of games and his wife had a baby.
Yep.
Um, you know,
Cameron Woods.
Cameron Woods
Yep.
and the other one, I forget
Coach
who
Bliss, right? The
got
Bliss.
some time doing that. So like development in the coaching staff and the front office staff and the players, and then throw in a specialist coach like Chip England, and who knows, man? Who knows what can happen when you mix all that together? Um,
That's
how
it.
do you feel about Chip's ability to work with Chet? Chet's 3 point shot seemed like it was off summer league. I mean, obviously that's probably just rust. I felt like his shot looked really good, summer league last year. So, you think that's something that Chip is going to get after right away, or working more with other guys?
Man, that's a really good question. And as far as what I'm seeing with Chip is that it's not Chip and Chip by himself,
What's up,
like
Ryan?
it's Chip's system that's being passed around. So as far as that's happening, I know for a fact that Chip's system is being worked with very heavily with Chet right now. And that makes me excited, man, because anybody that's Chet's size, his shot has changed in the last 3 years. It just has. It's inevitable. He's gotten stronger. He's gotten faster. His release has gotten quicker. So he needs to, get all that time in with the system that Chip England teaches. So Chet is definitely, benefiting from that right now. So as age is taking over, that shot's going to be more redefined and defined exactly the way it's supposed to. But at this point, like, it's hard to judge anybody off of their rookie year shot. I'm sorry, it just is.
Yeah.
What's up,
Well,
Ryan?
you think you think they miss Chip in San Antonio, or you think they're too hurt to admit it?
No, I think like, since we brought up San Antonio people, I think San Antonio people are just delusional about what's a good coach and what's not. So, and they think that they think Chip is replaceable by the many other people that Chip's had in his system. But the reality is that Chip's system isn't just one system and it stays the same. It changes and it morphs to the player that he's trying to teach. And I think that's the key is that if you're like, oh yeah, like we're gonna raise all of our children the same, nothing is gonna be different. You're gonna find out that it doesn't work that way. But if you like have it a way where you're like, hey, this is what we're going to do for this child, and essentially these basketball players, we're going to do this system, this right here, and it's going to mold to exactly what he needs. Instead of being like, this is the way, the truth, and the light. There's no other ways. If you don't like it, get the highway. Like that's not what we're doing now. Like that's why Chip's system is so important, is because he's going in there, he's sitting down with the players, and he's saying, this is what I want you to work on. This is how I want you to work on. This is what I want your footwork to feet to look like when you're releasing, coming back down, and all your shoulders and all this other stuff. Now he looks at the assistant coach and says, I need you to make sure that this is what's key in circling it. Do this with Chet every single day. And that's it. That's where the start begins. And to me, being a coach that has had time with different professional athletes across the world, I look at the the idea of what you can do with just training and teaching players, right? Listen, you don't have to be a great shooting coach, right? If you don't connect with a player, you don't connect with a player. But if you're out there and you're saying, this is the footwork, boom, this is the way you release, boom, can in the cookie jar, like make sure like we got the scissors, we got triple threat, like whatever that player needs to do for the faster release. You see what I'm saying? Like I get it. There's people who are like, we have to teach it this way and this way only, right? But when you change a shot so dramatically and drastically, it always becomes slower. Well, Chip doesn't teach that. He doesn't mess around with that stuff. He just gets them faster at what they already do. And I think that's the thing about it. Like you'll see him tweak once in a while, but he's not messing around with people's minds. And I think that's the best part about what Chip does is that every great coach that develops players knows that there's a fine line between harassing a player and encouraging him. And Chip understands what that line is, man. And the
Yeah.
thing about it is because he understands it, he doesn't get in these players' heads. And because he doesn't get in these players' heads, they're able to sit down and sit back and relax and recognize when their shots off and fix it in game.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of shot doctors that are really adamant that they have the best way, and if everybody just does it exactly like them, then they'll be
Man,
fine.
Bob, I want to say this. When we taught, right? When we were taught how to shoot, we were taught the triple threat way. Bob Hoffman is a believer of the triple threat. He is a coach at University of Central Oklahoma now. He spent time at Mercer University and some other schools in Texas that are D1. But he taught us the triple threat, right? You catch the ball in triple threat, you can shoot, pass, dribble really fast, okay? But as I got older, right, I found out a quicker shot came with a scissor shot. It was that in Oklahoma City, there's a sports academy in where was that at? It was at
The lighthouse.
the Lighthouse, that big gym, sports academy, and they taught the scissor. And that when I got to that stage in my life, I realized that my shot could go way quicker with the scissor move, you know? And I would just boom, boom, and a bam. And it was walking into that shot. And I think that the reality of it is that like it's easy to train and teach players a certain thing, but when you train them and teach them a certain way, and you're like, nope, everything else goes out the window, right? You take away from that player's development because they're having to relearn their footwork and relearn their shot, and that's what was so important when I started watching Chip sit down and watch these guys, and the practices that they were, putting up on online, and Chip is just sit with his hand on his hip and like, watching it. And then he'll say something to assistant coach, and the assistant coach will go do it. Like again, it's a system he is training people to do. It's not just a one, Chip's not going to be here for the next 20 years. He's going to be here the next 5 to 6 years if we're lucky. So he has to train these guys to do what he wants. And that's what's beautiful.
Yeah, dude, it's been a lot of fun to watch. Like the improvements happen, and no player has been more fun to watch improvements with than Josh Giddey. I know he's still got a long way to go, but like it felt like his rookie year, his shot was almost like um, not I don't want to say a prayer, but like he didn't necessarily have the mechanics that demonstrated confidence. And like after a second year, it was like, okay, like I think he has a chance to be a really good 3-point shooter, even though it's probably not going to be a big part of his game. He's shown a willingness to use it, even though it hasn't been a strength. So I kind of wonder how much he'll use it if he ends up realizing like yeah, people need to defend me on the perimeter. I think that's going to be a part of his future, and I think Chip's a
Yeah.
big part of that.
I think the fact that you can take Josh's shot and you can say that could be his third weapon that he can use, and it be a highly effective weapon, is scary, because here's the reality is that in order to stop Josh, you have to play off him a little bit. I mean, he's got to play off of him. I mean, like you could be in his face, but he's going to pass over top of you. He's going to go around you. He's going to use his body strength to hit on body you up. You got to play Josh off a little bit. Hope that he's not hitting his shot. And the thing about that is that when you play off a player like Josh, who has what I would consider a very quick release, it causes issues, hands down. So if Josh is able to sit back and just enjoy being patient and just shoot, man, we're talking about somebody that can shoot, 38 to 42% from 3-point range if they're playing off of him. And
Yeah,
and I think that's what's scary about what you're talking about with Josh, is that he's not a normal
what's up, Robert?
6'9" point guard. If he can learn how to shoot this 3-point shot, then you need a 6'10", 6'11" guy guarding him,
Right.
because now you got to have a couple inches on him in order to be able to slow him down. And then all of a sudden you're talking about somebody that's not as fast as Josh, somebody that's not as quick, somebody that's not as strong. And it's a whole new ball game, because I'm telling you, Josh's bones, bro, they're not normal, man. They're like fucking alien bones, bro. They're like just these massive, massive joints and big old bones. Like I cannot wait until those bones have muscles in them in every single area. Man, we're talking about somebody that's gonna be sitting at 235 and just a beefcake of a man. I'm serious. I mean, they're like Josh is one of those guys that could be 6'9" and 225, 230, and just dominating. Like nobody knows where his body's going. I mean, look at his dad. I mean, his dad is a beefcake, man. I mean, he's huge. You know what I'm saying? And Work is not a small dude. And if Josh fills out like that, I mean, it's
Weight
over.
room. Weight
It's
room,
over.
baby. Get in the weight room. I know he's spending a lot of time there. I know like it's tough to add a lot of muscle when you're, 21 years old or whatever, because like that NBA grind is something else, man. Something I can't even understand. So to try to come back and still add weight, that's crazy. But I think the offseason program helps him get there.
Hmm.
I think the balance of, understanding this is like for the long haul, where everybody's trying to get 15-year plus careers,
Yeah.
and that helps things out. Um, it's definitely a fascinating thing to watch the year over year growth um, for these players, and watch like the team just kind of figure out how to plug in for them.
That's it.
What do you think about Isaiah Joe? You think he's someone who likes to shoot out of that jump stop quite a bit, I think.
Well, the thing about Isaiah Joe is he doesn't, it's not one, like, how you get those players that just does, one shot. They can, shoot standing wide open in the corner. But they can't pull up, right? They can't do stuff like that. They got one dimension. Well, that's the thing about Joe, is that he has so many more dimensions. And the more that we give him playing time, the more we get to see what it is that he's got. I don't think we need to stop on the playing time as Isaiah Joe, because I think that if he comes out and has a season like he did in the beginning of the year last year for us, or the middle of
Mhm.
the year, I think we could be looking at a situation where he takes the heart of the American people, and the six man award legitimately has an opportunity to get, because Isaiah Joe is that type of playmaker. He is that type of has that type of ability to go out there, and if he goes out there and just shoots fire like I know he can, he's going to be in the 3-point contest this next year. And you just know it. I mean, like, and if he has a chance to be the underdog in the 3-point contest, I mean, that's special.
Yeah, that really is. I think for coach, um, the way that Isaiah is going to earn that playing time is on the defensive end,
Hmm.
and he showed the knack for taking charges and really just involving himself in any time of
He's
scrum
got
or
that. He's
loose
got that
ball.
Arkansas grit.
Right. So I think that's going to be the key for him, um, personally. But yeah, absolutely, him and Jay Will out there taking charges. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, man. I think that's again, it's the connecting of the lines to what our defense should be and what our defense can be next year. And once our guys figure that out, like I as far as our weakest thing that we did last year on defense had to be our inability to stop the big guys from just dominating us inside. And we go from that being our weakest to maybe being our strength this next year. Well, we already have what I would consider a top 10 defense in the league,
I think
a
they
top
moved to
third
top
of the
five.
league. So if that's the case, and we just added Chet and Jay Will at a higher level, with of course, Isaiah Joe and all the other guys that take charges, Aaron Wiggins and Josh Giddey. I mean, they all throw their bodies around, and when we throw in there whatever, people are going to stop coming down the lane to us. And if that's the case, and then we're able to use our long arms on the defensive perimeter, our defense, in my opinion, is no doubt going to be a top three defense in the league.
Top three.
Top three, no doubt, if we do what we're supposed to do out there. And the thing about that is that, like, I've been saying for a while, we have to have a top five defense to compete in this league. But the reality is that the defense of minded game has left the league for so long that I don't know if we've seen a team that's gonna be able to play defense like us in a long time. And if that's the case, then I don't know. Like, we have so many different aspects to our defense, like the charge abilities, that what Dort can do, getting around screens, setting the record last year and just crushing the record that's held up for like almost like 15, 16 years. Like, that's what we can do already. And anything that we add, anything that's an add-on piece is just that, just an add-on piece. And I think that J Dub is going to be like Lou Dort going around those screens, and it's going to create teams that they can't do much at all. Like, their big guys are going to get in foul trouble, so they're going to be forced to go small ball. Well, that's fine because we can go small ball with you guys, but we got guards that are power forward sizes, and so that's different. Like, again, like when we can play 75 different matchups out there, and we're not afraid of playing 75 different matchups out there, like, we're going to do that. We're going to crush teams. It's going to look stupid out there, and I'm excited, man.
Yeah, dude. Um, it is exciting. You think about the defense, our ability to cause turnovers, charges, get out and run fast, and we keep our turnovers low.
That's it.
So, yeah, I mean, we earn a lot of extra possessions, and I think we're going to win a lot of close games this coming year. I think we'll, you like you said, you had Chet, you had the interior defense. It becomes one of our strengths. I mean, who knows? I mean, we could be the best defense in the league next year. I think that's quite a leap, but I mean, I don't really see any teams that I would look at and say have as much as many elite defenders, 1 through 5. Really, I mean, maybe they don't all start, and we've got them out there if we want to go a defensive lineup.
Yeah, it's the defensive lineups that we're going to have are going to be filthy. I mean, they're going to be designed to just dismantle, like, players completely. Like, their mindset, it's going to be like it's going to be demoralizing. I mean, in all aspect, like, our defensive lineup is going to be big. It's going to be strong. It's going to be physical. It's going to be finesse. It's going to be able to take charges and run around screens and pick up fouls like that. Like, And the crazy thing about our defensive lineup is, as our defensive lineup, our best defensive lineup is still our best offensive lineup as well. I mean, that's what's crazy about it, man. How many teams can say that?
Dude, you get me excited, man. That
Fun times,
defense,
dude.
get out and run. Yeah, dude. That's what it's all about, man.
All right. Well, listen, guys, we're going to be doing this call-in show every time that we do it because we're going to get you guys comfortable with calling in and making sure that you guys can join us for the shows. So as we're doing this more, we're going to make sure that we continue to do this. Sunday was our dry run, or dry hump, as we like to call it. So we'll be back tomorrow, and hopefully we can have a pretty cool live show tomorrow.
We'll do this tomorrow. We'll do it every day. We want to make every day a call-in day. We'll see what happens, man. I'm glad everybody's with us. I hope you guys enjoy your Sunday, and we'll get to see you tomorrow.